day, freaks. I'm here to bring something different to the table. I really got hit with inspiration this morning and had to bring this on through a little wisdom of the wild goddess collective read. And today's goddess is going to be Baba Yaga. If you're not familiar with Baba Yaga, she is a Slavic goddess, often associated with the goddess of death. And, don't be too intimidated by that, okay? Because death is all about transition, right? Yes, we transcend this mortal coil, so to speak, but death is also the ending of certain passages in our lives. It is an initiatory door that opens us up to new potential and reality. And much like Jung associates the shadow aspect of mankind with trickster energy, the trickster archetype, Baba Yaga also embodies this trickster energy. She is an intermediary at that bardo when we cross over from the end of one phase of our life to another. And she kind of plays tricks on us to teach us valuable lessons that help us navigate the more dicey passages of life, okay? And she works with a little bit of that coyote medicine, where she sort of reflects our blind spots to us, and we can kind of get tripped up on ourselves and in our egos, sort of chase our own tails. That's what coyote medicine is all about, all right? She's most commonly associated with the fairy tale Vasilisa the Beautiful, which is a story of a young girl who, much like Cinderella, had a very deep connection to her mother. And on her mother's deathbed, she gave Vasilisa a doll to watch over her that would protect her and be there for her during times that she needed support, needed help, but her mother could no longer fulfill that role, at least not on the earthly plane. So much like in the original tale of Cinderella, where Cinderella received a branch from her father when he was coming back from a trip, while all of her stepsisters wanted to have these jewels and finery. Cinderella just wanted the first branch that her father's head hit on his coach riding home, okay? And when she received this branch, she took it, she planted it in the ground in her mother's grave. And every day she would go out and she would sit with this tree branch and she would water it with her tears, and she would cry and she would talk to her mother and she would tell her mother her troubles. And soon her tears nourished this tree branch and it grew into this beautiful tree, into this giving tree. And so it's very funny because Disney, of course, took that story and changed its meaning all around, and they brought in a fairy godmother, which was never part of the original telling of Cinderella. And in the process, lost the original, symbolism of the fairy tale, which is this tree became a giving tree. It was the tree and it was nature. It was all the animals that would come and sit with Cinderella when she would cry at her mother's grave that ended up being the source of what gave her these gifts, what gave her the ball gown to wear to the ball. It was a case of when we nurture nature, nature nurtures us in return, and spoke of that deep connection to the mother and the way the mother nurtures, the way the mother gifts us when we give her our care and our attention. It was showing the interconnectedness of nature and us, how we're a reflection of that. It's a beautiful story of empowerment through the mother, but all of that got lost in Disney. And Vasilisa's story is very similar. After Vasilisa's mother passed, her father went, married a new woman who became Vasilisa's mother, stepmother, and was not very kind to her, had two daughters of her own who became the evil stepsisters in the story. And they were very cruel to Vasilisa because Vasilisa was beautiful. She was beautiful. And so they despised her. And much like Cinderella, she had to do all kinds of chores, and she was sort of the whipping girl of the household. And soon, the stepmother started to try to sabotage Vasilisa by sending her out to do dangerous tasks in the wild wood in hopes that she would encounter Baba Yaga, and Baba Yaga would spirit her away and eat her. Now, here's the thing about Baba Yaga, okay? She's known to fly through the air in an iron mortar, and she uses one hand to steer with a pestle, and the other hand, she holds a broom that sweeps all trail of her behind her. And she looks for children to entice with treats and candies and goodies to come back to her hut, because see, as in all things in fairy, there needs to be an agreement. To get spirited away, there needs to be an agreement. So the invitation is extended. This is a little bit of that trickster energy. It looks very enticing. It looks very enticing. The invitation is extended, but you have to say yes in order to put yourself in harm's way. Well, Vasilisa did come across Baba Yaga, and she did enter Baba Yaga's hut, but Baba Yaga took a liking to Vasilisa because she was different than others who had found their way to her. She didn't need to know so much. She didn't ask so many questions. And so she saw that there was a certain kind of wisdom, a certain kind of knowing in Vasilisa that had eluded others she'd come across. And she also assigned Vasilisa all these impossible tasks to do, because Vasilisa was sent there to obtain fire, all right? And fire, this is significant because fire is the element of transformation, right? And this is the piece that is often missed about Baba Yaga's mythos, that she's often an agent of change. She sparks transformation in those who are at a crossroads in their life and they don't know how to move forward. And maybe they feel that there's an impossibility to get out of their predicament. Baba Yaga helps find the way, okay? She helps reveal the path out of the unknown. She helps free you from the bardo, but, you know, she has to make it a little challenging for you. Not just anybody gets a free ride through, okay? And she speaks very much of these transitions, you know. She's known to live in a hut that has chicken legs, and these chicken legs can raise the hut up and move it to many locations. Oh, it's so funny. I was just shuffling the cards and look what we got here. The gravy funnel, there's the chicken, right? Oh, I just love this imagery. It's like the medicine coming down, you know, through spirit, the medicine coming down that helps us see with a different kind of vision, right? That gives us that higher wisdom. You know, this is some good medicine coming in right now through this tale of Baba Yaga, but she's very much a goddess of the in-between, you know, and she's much like many of the wild goddess energies. She's been vilified, all right? She's an independent energy. She's very strong, she's fierce, but she's also wily and wild. And people are afraid of death. People are afraid of endings. They're afraid of what must be released, you know? Humans in general tend to cling desperately, you know, to their ego's desires. And Baba Yaga will absolutely grind that to dust in her mortar with her pestle, all right? And it's interesting because unlike most humans, or children rather, who are often associated with Baba Yaga, we have to recognize that the children are just a symbol of psyche, as is the case in all fairy tales. They're medicine stories, you know, that are passed down from generation to generation across cultures around the campfire. This is how this wild wisdom was preserved. And children represent the naive or innocent aspect of ourselves. And also, you know, when you look more deeply into it, the pure part of ourselves that hasn't been corrupted yet, you know? And so it may seem kind of harsh, you know, this story of this wild witch that, you know, would lure children into her hut with the promise of reward, and beguile them so she could eat them. But it's very symbolic about the things, the drives, the desires that we have, and how they can sometimes lead us into danger in our thirst for attainment. And that's what her medicine offers. She shows us our shadow aspects. She shows us the ways we play tricks on ourselves, how we can trip ourselves up. Well, Vasilisa was very, very much, you know, covered by her mother because she had that doll with her. And so despite how many tests, how many challenges, how many chores Baba Yaga gave her, she was, and it was 12:33 on the clock when I said that. So that's triple Trinity energy. That is triple Goddess energy, 333, okay? No matter what challenges Baba Yaga gave her, with the help of her doll that was gifted to her by her mother. So in other words, by her staying in connection with the mother aspect, by staying in connection with that, that source, that connection to spirit that was her nurturing, her guidance, her own intuitive wisdom, she was able to pass every single test that was put on her path. 13 on the clock when I said that. And if you know, you know, 13 is a power number for witches. We do not see it as bad luck, you know. We see it as a number that symbolizes really being in alignment with our power, which is the power of the goddess. Number that's sacred to Freya, okay? 13:33 on the clock when I said that. Absolutely love this energy coming through. I'm just getting some initial cards out on the board while I'm telling you about this story and letting this download come in. I want to pull from a lot of different decks and really just get playful with this, okay? So we'll see what comes in here. Yeah, it's funny because I just did a split of the deck here to shuffle this super awesome future deck, and we see the snake here, right? It's like the temptation that leads us astray, that we enter those wild parts where, you know, we think we're going after our happiness, you know, but we actually might end up on a plate as a TV dinner if we're not careful. You know? It's those things that we go after that can trip us up, you know, with that devil energy there. It's that inner toxicity, you know, where we act unconsciously. We don't allow ourselves to be guided by our wisdom. But the thing is, Vasilisa had a connection to that wisdom. She had a connection to the mother. She had intuitive knowing. And because she was able to pass every one of Baba Yaga's tests, she actually gifted Vasilisa the fire she sought. In other words, she gave I just got sentience. She gave Vasilisa what she needed to transform her circumstances in life and rise above her challenges. And so she gifted Vasilisa a skull that was filled with this fire. And Vasilisa brought this skull with the fire back to her stepmother and to her stepsisters, and this fire burned them all to ash. And Vasilisa was free. So she's a wild, woolly goddess. Baba Yaga means grandmother witch. At least it's commonly accepted to be the meaning of her name, grandmother witch, although there are a few, people who will dispute that. They have their own meanings. But she's a misunderstood goddess energy. She's a wild energy. She's a free energy. She's powerful, and she helps us navigate the darker corners of our mind, so we can transcend, so we can transform, so we don't get deluded by superficial pursuits, and instead seek the greater reward, the richer reward, the spiritual reward. Woo! Okay. So we got some cards coming out here. And I think I'll use these for clarification. We're going to start out reading what I got on the board right here, okay? I wanted to open up with some tarot, and we have this crossing energy right here with the Six of Swords, okay? Six of Swords is all about a passage, right? We were talking about this, the transition. And this is when we're really being asked at this point on our path to release what has sort of been holding us hostage, keeping us at this bardo, like this place of, being in that in-between state, neither here nor there. The past is gone. Its fruit has spoiled on the vine. There's nothing left to harvest there. And now it's time to make that transition to the new life. We see that there's been a lot of swords, okay? So Six of Swords also comes after the Five of Swords. So this is when there's been some kind of betrayal, in some way we had the sword turned against us, and usually by someone we really trusted, okay? So I think a lot of the collective is dealing with these matters of needing to bring a closing to people and situations that we've been involved with that really didn't serve us with where we're heading on our paths. A lot of these situations acted as blocking influences, but they came into our lives to sort of teach us, trick us, okay, much like Baba Yaga's medicine, trick us so we would actually get the lesson this time. A lot of these cycles that you're closing up, this is shit you all have already been through. This is the same shit. It's the same lesson that you've learned how many times before. And every time you've learned this lesson before, you said, oh, I will never lose this lesson again. I'm always going to remember this lesson again. And what I'm getting the lesson is to trust your intuition. I feel like you've been dealing with somebody that right off the bat, whether it's a person or a specific situation, I feel like right off the bat, you knew that this situation was trouble. You knew it was trouble. You knew that there were things that weren't right here. You saw red flags all over the place. But in that moment, your ego and what your ego desired in this situation, what your ego desired in this relationship, what you were hoping to get out of this, involvement, what you were hoping to get out of the arrangements that were made in the situation you found yourself in, that became more important to you than really aligning with that higher truth within yourself, than aligning with the medicine you'd gained from the situations you already had to overcome in the past. And this is what happens. People get frustrated. It's like, why am I going through this again? Why am I dealing with this again? Well, you're dealing with this again because you didn't get the memo. You thought you knew the lesson. You thought you knew it through and through. But the minute you get tempted with a glimmery thing. You're back, you know, heading off into the wild woods on your way to Baba Yaga's hut to get devoured. You know, and I feel like that's why, you know, you've had to go through this situation again to highlight, like, look, you didn't get this memo the first time. You didn't get this memo the second time. You didn't get this memo the third time. For some of you, this is the fourth time you've had to learn this shit. And so I hope that you'll really integrate this lesson now. I just looked outside, you know, I'm looking out the window that's to the side here, and I saw in the sky there's like this cloud, and it's shaped like a boomerang. And I feel like this is just like, this is a boomerang energy. You know, you have to be careful throwing a boomerang, right? You have to be careful throwing a boomerang, because it's going to come back at you. And if you don't remember what you learned the first time after you threw a boomerang, you know, if you don't duck, when that shit comes back around on your path, you're going to get hit upside the head. It's like 21:33 on the clock when I said that. And some of y'all didn't duck, and you got fucking hit by your shit, by your own shit. You got tripped up by your own shit again. And what's that shit? You didn't trust your intuition. You started going up into your head. Oh, well, maybe they're doing this because of that. Oh, we all have our challenges, you know. We can work this out. Oh, maybe I'm being ridiculous. Maybe I'm just thinking about what happened to me in the past, and I'm projecting this onto this situation. No, you knew in your bones. You knew in your bones it was bullshit. And you went right down that garden path and straight into your demise. And it'll happen over and over and over and over again until you remember that home truth. Until you remember that home truth, okay? With this Four of Wands. Until you remember that home truth that you have the answers inside. You are aligned with spirit. And if it doesn't feel right to you, it ain't right. You know, this needed to be brought to a completion with the World card here. And bringing this to a closure brings success. We see it's leaving this devil energy behind. It's walking away from the illusion and what looked like it promised a good time, but it actually kept you trapped. It kept you shackled. It kept you limited. It kept you stuck. And that's a bit of that trickster medicine right there, you know, like Carl Jung said, you know, the shadow aspect of man is the trickster archetype. Baba Yaga is that trickster archetype. She wants us to remember our wild wisdom. She doesn't want us to lose that wild place inside of ourselves. She doesn't want it to get programmed out of us, okay? And the wild part of us is our intuition. It is our instincts. It is that part of us that feels the truth humming in our bones and just knows the right step forward because we feel that pull. We feel that tug on our soul that guides us into the next step, you know? We can't get so much into this, you know, rational brain when we're navigating the crossroads with this robot riding a gorilla, okay? So far, the robot has been steering the course. You've been too locked into your ideas, too locked in the ego, you know? You wanted things to turn out this way, and it didn't. It turned out totally differently. Some of you ended up with egg on your face. Some of you are feeling foolish. Some of you are kicking yourselves in the ass for not listening to yourself. All of this is just nonsense. You don't need to do that. What you need to do is you need to get back to this instinctual, wild nature. This gorilla energy is what should be steering the course, not the fucking robot, okay? this part of you that knows how to navigate the jungle, the part of you that knows how to get through the brush, the part of you that is strong, knows how to defend yourself, and knows how to feel instinctually what needs to be done to muscle through a situation. And it doesn't rely on brute strength. It doesn't rely on getting into arguments. It doesn't rely on trying to force your will in situations. It relies on you being able to feel it out, to sink into that intuitive knowing, you know, that instinctual side of yourself. There definitely is a need to move forward. I feel like some of you have really been in this place where you've been a bit stuck. You know, you've been a bit stuck, you know, and you're afraid to move forward. Some of you are still stuck. You know, you need to graduate from that Six of Swords energy, from this Five of Swords, from this place inside of you that's, you know, still licking your wounds. But it's so important to just get the memo and remember what the lesson is, to trust your intuition, to embrace the wild, daring side of yourself that says, okay, I kind of played a trick on myself. I fucked up. I forgot the lessons I learned from these experiences I've been through in the past. And now I need to remember. I need to remember next time, you know, when I'm really feeling something isn't right, it ain't right. And it doesn't matter how much somebody tries to convince me otherwise, or it doesn't matter how pretty the packaging is, or how alluring the tasty sweet seems to be when it leaves nothing but a bitter taste in my mouth. Remember this moment. Tuck it away. This is your medicine from this experience you went through. And yeah, it's harsh when you get a taste of bitter tea. You know, it's like, where's the sugar, baby? The sugar is in resting in that sweetness of the true empowerment coming from within you, you know, and knowing that you don't need anything else outside of yourself to show you the path ahead. You have all those answers inside if you'll only trust. This is an opportunity for you to trust yourself more. And despite the way you've been betrayed, or the way you've been lied to, or people have taken advantage of you or played you false, did they really? Did they really? Didn't you know from the start? You did. And this is the way we trick ourselves. This is the way we trip ourselves up. Okay? But it's time to let this go and move forward, you know? Be brave. Step into the wildwood. Embrace the instinctual part of you that's driving you forward right now, that knows it's time. It's time for me to go. It's time for me to leave this behind. It's time for me to explore the unknown and what's on the other side of this experience. We see it brings the Nine of Pentacles and the Nine of Cups. This completion brings you into that place of inner strength, fulfillment, abundance, blessing. And it happens very quickly with this rabbit energy down in the bottom of the card here. Rabbits are also about confronting our fears, confronting them by transcending them, not letting our fears have power over us. Baba Yaga taught Vasilisa that lesson too. Vasilisa could have been like the others who arrived at her hut. She could have been frightened of the old witch, but instead she was intrigued. She was curious, but she knew to be mindful of what questions to ask. She knew to listen. She knew to listen to her inner guidance about what was appropriate, what was not, how far to venture in, when to stop, assess, feel things out. And it's because of that she navigated the train and she was able to gain that fire of transformation that set her free from all that held her back. And so it is the same with you. You have to be willing to transcend your fears. You have to be willing to explore the unknown, to step into that wild wood, to go forward as your intuition is telling you to leave behind all of this that has hurt you in the past. And in doing so, you are richly rewarded. You get the blessing wish granted with this 9 of Cups, much like Vasilisa's desire for that fire that transformed her life and set her free was gifted to her. Okay. Yeah, we do see, it's so funny here, you know, because what came up in this super awesome future deck right here is we have the house and the cats. And when I see these cats, you know, I always think of secrecy and cattiness and gossip and, you know, those you can't trust, you know. We see this house, there's some sort of strange things happening in this house, you know. It looks like everything's peaceful and fine on the outside, but inside there's a lot of fireworks going off in there. I feel like there's, for some of you, there's been a lot of tension and disruption in your house, and your house could be related to the place where you live, but it also could be whatever has like sort of symbolized that foundation for you, that sense of home for you. This could be your social circle. This could be a relationship. This could be family dynamics. This could even be where you live, the area where you're living. There's been some kind of disruption, and I believe that it's been caused by meddling. It's been caused by gossip. It's been caused by people interfering in your life, much like those evil stepsisters and that stepmother, you know, interfered in Vasilisa's life and thwarted her destiny. Okay. I see that by you moving forward from this situation and putting it behind you, you move into this infinity energy, this 8, you know, 36 at the top there, that's bringing things to a closure, closing a cycle. You know what people need to go. A lot of you are avoiding taking actions that you know intuitively. You feel it in your bones. You know what you need to do, but you're sitting at the bardo, you know, twiddling your thumbs, waiting for something to come in and rescue you. And it's not going to. You got to save yourself. You got to save yourself. And there's only one way to do that. You got to take the leap. You got to step away from what's been familiar. A lot of you have really been struggling with the choices that you need to make that get you to the other side here. You know, in a way, it might feel like you got to, you know, there's that, you know, it's funny, like, you know, talks about Baba Yaga eating the children, right? It's like she eats away that part of us that's naive. You know, children are naive. They don't see things clearly yet. They're trying to find their way in the world. And a lot of times children are too trusting, right? They're too trusting because unfortunately there's a lot of people in this world you can't trust. They don't always have your best interests at heart. And I think we can be like this a lot when we really have love for somebody, when we have deep love for our partner, when we have deep love for our family, when we have deep love for our friends, or even when we have deep love for something that we poured our heart and soul into, like some kind of project that's been very, very deeply personal for us. some kind of dream we've invested our energy into. You know, we can become very attached. We can become very attached and in wanting to see things our way and in wanting to believe the best in people, in wearing those rose-colored glasses. So much so we can get attached to what our ego wants to see rather than the reality that's facing us, that we can really put ourselves in compromising positions. And sometimes it's a very tough medicine to swallow when we realize that what needs to go is the very thing we've been holding on to for dear life. You have to release the things that have harmed you. There's no bargaining with the devil. It's a hefty price to pay, to sacrifice your freedom. You can stay in bondage if you like. You can go through this pain, this loss, this suffering, however many times you want. But you can't fool yourself and call yourself a victim because you know better. And you knew better in this situation. You knew the moment it took a turn in the wrong direction and you stayed put. You stayed hoping that what you knew was true was false, which really was a denial of yourself. You abandoned yourself in that moment. And so sometimes we have to go through these experiences where, you know, we get knocked down, we get kicked around. And it may seem harsh. You know, Baba Yaga teaches us that nature is both nurturing and harsh. Both. There's no separation. Nature can be cruel. Nature can be kind. It's the duality of our existence. And some of you are really resisting these harsh truths. You're resisting what you need to do, what you need to release. You're resisting dropping that deadbeat lover, you know, because you're afraid to be alone. You're resisting cutting off certain friendships because you're afraid of what people will say. You're afraid of the gossip that will spread. You're afraid of your reputation being soiled because this person's going to start, you know, talking smack behind your back and turning people against you. You're afraid to move out of your town that you've grown up in and spent your whole life in, because even though you're not happy there, at least it's familiar, it feels safe. You're too scared to sort of branch out, stand on your own. You're afraid to have that confrontation with your mother, with your father, with the inner child, the way they were hurt, and the way you failed to protect her now as an adult. But these are all things that need to be looked at. These are all steps that need to be taken. And if you want to get to the other side of these experiences and get to that place where you are supported by life, where you are fulfilled, where you are rewarded, where you see what's on the other side of this shit once you build a bridge and get over it, you need to do the hard thing. You need to do what your soul is calling you to do right now. Because in doing so, you gain that fire of transformation. You burn away all that's false. 40 on the clock when I said that. 4. This is fate. 4 is a number of fate. It's a number of fate and destiny. And those 3 zeros, that is like triple goddess blessings by connecting with that higher knowing inside of yourself, by connecting with that goddess energy as it runs within you, by connecting with the Baba Yaga within you, hopping in that mortar, taking to the skies, using your pestle to steer and grind all that bullshit from the past into your medicine, and taking that broom and sweeping all the fucking negativity behind you and leaving not a trail of where you're off to now. Because you have beautiful beginnings ahead of you, beautiful blessings. But if you continue to sit here and water the past with your fucking tears, you're only tricking yourself. And you'll never get free until you're willing to trust yourself again. And that starts with listening and acting on what your inner guidance is telling you to do now. So cut that cord. And you'll see your ships come in. And where there was lack and where there was loss, you will find your blessings. But it's on new shores. It's not where you're at right now. You need to take up that wand with this Page of Wands here, and you need to use that fire of inspiration to take action. Page of Swords, energy. Page of Swords. It's interesting that I said Page of Swords. All right. There's also probably, some self-sabotage involved, I would say. I think sometimes we can get a little bit into this place of trauma bonding where we're just so familiar with things going a certain way that we can become very attached to playing out roles, even though we end up in this place where we feel so hurt and we feel so victimized. It's like we kind of fuck ourselves, right? And it's about having that willingness to use that sword to, instead of, sort of stabbing ourselves in the foot and preventing forward motion with our self-sabotage, we can use that sword to cut through our own bullshit and set ourselves free, take up that wand and use that fire of transformation to take action. Since Page of Swords came in, air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, pay attention to the ways that you stab yourself in the foot and trip yourself up, keep yourself held back, cut off what you need to cut off. And I also feel this message, the necessity, to transform and take action is coming strongly through for the fire sign collective. So Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, okay? This is what brings hope. This is what brings the renewal. First, you have to go through the dark passage. That's what the star is about. The star is about taking a risk, moving through the darkness and, holding firm to that light, that there's a promise that things will get better on the other side of this. There is still something for you here. Once you get to the other side of this dark passage, once you face the unknown, Spirit brings in a gift, something that fills your heart with joy once again, and you step into that sun energy, all right? Sun energy in Leo season, I really feel strongly, okay? That's like the happiest card in the tarot deck. The sun brings in the promise of fulfillment. It also brings illumination. It lets that light shine into the dark wood and reveal the lay of the land so we can find our path moving forward. I just got wolf medicine coming in really strong. Some of you really need to connect with that wolf medicine. Yes, wolf likes to, be with the pack, but wolf also knows the times when it needs to be a lone wolf, when it needs to go forward alone. And you may be called to do that right now, but you have everything you need to carry you forward, because wolf finds the way by picking up the scent of the trail. It has instinctual knowing. Intuitively, it feels its way forward. You're not going to get there by following your head. You got to go by your gut to find your way through. This is what brings forward motion. Horse medicine right here. That's all about stepping into your power and moving forward. I see both fire and air sign energy here with the wings on that horse and the fiery nature of this steed, you know. Also Sagittarius energy coming through really strong. Double air sign collective message with that star. That's Aquarius energy, okay? You're going to be able to really write your story as you wish for it to unfold, but it requires you moving. You can't stay stuck. It's time to bring the old cycle to a close and make a move forward. And it brings you what you're looking for. Stop sitting here at the crossroads wondering if there's going to be further growth with this Seven of Pentacles. There's not. You stay here, you're going to go all the way back down to the 3. You're going to go all the way back down to the 3. Some of you are feeling like your abundance is blocked. Some of you are having a hard time financially. You're like, why am I not making any money here? What the hell is going on? I'm working my ass off and I'm not getting anywhere. It's because your blossomings are, your blossomings. It's almost like blossomings, you know, what wanted to come out. Well, your blossomings are being blocked. You know, do you want things to stay tight in the bud? Ooh, it makes me think of that Anais Nin about, oh gosh, I don't remember the actual quote, but she talks about being tight in the bud, you know, and the only way she was able to blossom was by taking that risk to be vulnerable. I'll find the quote and I will put it, I'll pin it in the comments of this, okay? But I feel like that's what you need to do. If you don't take this risk, you know what you need to leave behind. The collective that is watching this right now, you know exactly what it is you need to leave behind. You know the choice you need to make. And this is what I want to say right now. And this is what's coming through with Baba Yaga's energy. The first step is admitting to yourself what is the choice you need to make. And vowing that I've made up my mind. This is what I'm going to do. Don't worry about the how-tos. The how-tos will be revealed to you. All manner of synchronicity will line up to get you on that right path. And you will be able to find the path. You will find the way forward because you will be guided intuitively. And it's all about you trusting yourself and trusting your decision. So if you do anything right now in this moment, make a choice about what you're going to do to rectify your current situation and pull yourself out of this fuck shit. That's the beginning. If you don't, if you continue to stay in this situation, whether you're dealing with a lover, whether you're dealing with drama in your friend circle, whether you're dealing with problems at work, problems within the home, or whether your whole life has just gone through a fucking tower moment and you're at a complete loss and you're desperately clinging to what was, trying to put it back together again. If you keep sitting here wondering, is there a way to fix this? Is there a way for it to grow after you've already very clearly been shown that this ain't it? After you were already shown intuitively, even before all of this bullshit got revealed to you. But you ignored it then. Now the tower's fallen. Are you still going to ignore the tower? If you do, you're going to remain tight in the bud. And all of your blessings are going to be blocked. But don't think it's life fucking you over. It's not. It's you. Your Page of Swords in yourself. You're sabotaging yourself, man. There's only one solution here, and that is to take action. That is to make a choice about what you need to do. 50 on the clock when I said that. To move forward. Fire sign collective coming in strong here. Okay? Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. And stop thinking about it. Put it into action. Move forward. You got a King of Swords, this shit. Okay, air sign collective, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Be discerning. You know the truth and you know what you need to do. You need to trust that wild wisdom within yourself with this high priestess energy. You know, Baba Yaga, she also has a lot of associations with Persephone, you know, and Persephone really comes strongly forward for me with this card because there's the pomegranate here. And, you know, Persephone, she ate those pomegranate seeds so she could go down and hang out with Hades for a bit. You know, so this is really about you being informed by your shadow and by learning from your shadow to transcend those experiences. In doing so, you find balance. Sagittarius energy with this temperance, okay? The diamond is made through being put under pressure. That's how it gains clarity and value. It begins with you valuing yourself. You know, this temperance card holding the 2 of Cups that promise to be filled. And in doing so, we arrive at the 10 of Cups. Such sweet reward. You know, a lot of you may be intimidated to move forward, but there's such value in you taking the risk. I want to just do a cut of the deck here on this arcane bullshit deck. Yes, there it is again. Horse death, okay? Horse death. I don't have enough spoons. Stop trying to feed. Stop trying to nurture what is already withered. It's time to bring this to a close. Step into your power. You know, penguins, they're loyal. They are loyal for fucking life. It is time to stop being loyal to this shit. Step into your power and move forward. Horses are all about forward motion, movement. It's also reminding me of Sagittarius energy. I feel like Sagittarius energy coming in really strong with this. And I do want to pull a charm. Air and fire came forward really strongly here in this particular reading. That doesn't mean that it couldn't apply, you know, to other signs, but I definitely feel like this is something air and fire are really moving through right now. And it's interesting because air can feed fire, right, and make the fire grow brighter. Air can also blow it out, and air is associated with, you know, thoughts. So again, you know, there's that message about you got to get out of your head. You got to drop into your heart. You need to, you know, obtain that fire of transformation. Fire is all about action, and it's the action that creates the transformation that leads you in your new direction. We got a cannon here. I'm telling you, it's time to fire off in a new direction. It might be a bit dramatic. It might be a bit explosive. You know, sometimes things have to get messy and everything needs to get thrown up in the air and feel very uncertain before we really can see what the final result is, all right? But I feel like there's a necessity. There's a necessity to go there. Some of you have been dealing with some really intolerable shit, and it's way due. It's way due for it to be done. And you need to make sure that you're really like obliterating it. I think you need to use that broom and sweep this shit away and leave no path to go back to it again. It's time to really close a cycle. And I believe the cycle that you're closing has to do with this place where you've been at war within yourself, you know, and where you have clung to the things that keep you in that state, that keep you in this place of division within yourself where you're confused. Should I do this? Should I do that? Is it this way? Is it that way? Is it this person or is it that person? Am I right? Am I wrong? Is it good? Is it bad? Where there's division, it's time to cut the cord and move forward. Alone if you have to. So you can be unified within yourself. And it's 56 on the clock when I said that. 11 energy. It brings you into alignment. It brings you those gifts. It brings you those blessings that are waiting for you on the other side. But first, you got to take the leap. You got to take the leap. So leave that shit job that's just squeezing all the life out of you every time you clock in. Ditch the fuck boy. Or the chick who, you know, always keeps you guessing about how she's feeling for you. Stop putting up with the manipulation of that family member who only comes around when they want you to fix things. You're not here to fix anybody's problems. You're here to follow your soul's directive. Cut off the friends who smile to your face and then stab you in the back. With friends like that, who needs enemies? Show up for yourself. If you start exhibiting to yourself that you're worthy of more by walking away from what has abused you, from what has tried to strip you of your dignity, what's made you feel less than, not good enough, you know, believe in yourself enough to know you're worth more than that. If you move through your fear, if you face your fear and you step out of the crossroads and you take the action you need to take, it's everything you need that will bring you in alignment. And you'll see your world completely transform in the most beautifully unexpected ways. Because it's time to bag up this meaningless garbage and move forward. And to do that, you need to travel light. Don't drag this shit behind you. Lay it to rest.